Hello. For once I thought I'd do some racer diaries actually at the racing. And today's an exceptional night because it's Matthew's first ever race sanctioned event. It's his very first time. I bet he's nervous. He's not here yet. Because it's the last Friday before Christmas, I got away from work early. Now normally I finish at 5, I get my stuff ready, I leave at about 10 past, quarter past, and I'm here around about 6 o'clock. Well, because I got away early, I decided to leave early, and I'm half an hour earlier than I normally am, and I'm usually one of the very first people anyway, so never mind the carpet and the track isn't out yet. When I usually arrive, the tables aren't even out yet, and the chairs, and now I'm half an hour earlier than that. Great. In the meantime, do you want to see my knob? Just between you and me, of course. There's nobody else here. Look at that. Look at that. I fitted that myself. Wired it in myself. Goes well, really well with the red instrumentation. Not bad, eh? Quite like my knob. So, how are you feeling, Matthew? You nervous?
I'm nervous and excited.
Nervous. Look at the frame rate. What do you call it? The refresh rate of the lights in here is terrible. It's all flickery. So he's doing the additive on his back tyres, and I'm going to do the important thing and have dinner. Nom nom nom. Chicken. And then more chicken. Let's go round, Matthew. Matthew, go round. Drive it round. Yeah, he's hit the wall. And he's hit the wall.
Got to give the fuck.
Hit the wall.
The start order is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Nathan.
Oh! I told you you'd crash. I told you you'd crash. Whoa.
No, I'm just. That's it up.
30 seconds to the race. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Nice. Thank you, man.
Slow down to the corners, please.
Oh.
The new order at 2 minutes is 1, 2, 6, 5, 3, 4.
He's getting the hang of it. He's definitely getting the hang of it. It's getting better.
Second. 3, 4.
bad.
2 minutes to race 2.
And I've done alright, but I couldn't catch it.
Poor body shell. Oh, poor car. So that was Matthew's first race. You can see there he started 6th as car 6 and finished 2nd. Obviously cars 3 and 4 didn't take part, I don't know why. He had comfortably the fastest lap, and he also had the fastest top 10 average. So the potential is definitely there to move ahead of this group. But if we bring up the more detailed view here, you see that the consistency is lacking and his average suffers as a result. There were some consistent laps between lap 11 and lap 14, where they're all within a few tenths of each other. But there are a few throwaway laps in red and a little bit of deviation there for an average of 15.25, which is much slower, 3 seconds slower than his fastest. So consistency needs to be addressed, obviously. There he is, marshalling. He's already committed the crime of leaving his transmitter on, but I got it for him. I'm in trouble. I've given it way too much additive. I was supposed to go to the halfway mark. It bled. Oops. So Matthew was supposed to record the start of my race, but he missed it. Anyway, this is round 1, heat A. I'm starting 3rd. I'm the white, yellow and orange car. There's a bit of gunmetal grey as well, but you can't see that. It was all going well, running 3rd where I started with a reasonable pace, until unfortunately this happened. I hit the wall and now I had to try and chase down the grey car.
Just because it was the very first day of the night. That would get better. I was thinking you'd get your strongest level so the last time you move it. You've got Kimbo on the block. I've got a...
Well, after my first race, you can see I started 3rd and finished 3rd. However, I really should have been 2nd. I was the 2nd quickest car. You can see in terms of both fastest lap and fastest 10 lap average, I was 2nd there. So consistency, again, for me, badly needed. If we look at the details, yes, lots of red, lots of throwaway laps, not fantastic. However, it does look worse than it really is because my lap times are relatively close together, so any deviations by only a few tenths flags up as a red. For example, you can see 11.03 is flagged up as red, whereas 10.71 isn't. So a little under 4 tenths of a second difference. And my average is 10.76, which is only, a fraction over 6 tenths of a second slower than my best lap, and only 4.6 tenths slower than my best 10 average. So it is a bit harsh and it's not as bad as it looks. However, no excuses, that consistency is not good enough and I should have been 2nd, but I threw it away for too many mistakes. Room to improve. Before Matthew's 2nd race, I reduced the frame rate of the video down from 60 frames to 30 frames in the hope that it would be slower than the refresh rate, if that's the right word, of the lights, because the lights are flickering on camera but you can't see that in real life. So I figured the fast refresh rate was what's causing it. So I reduced it down to 30, but it didn't help. Also, look at the mess of this start. The kids are going off whenever they want. It's ridiculous. Well, that was a bit wrong. It definitely made progress. Yeah, progress.
Keep going.
One. 5, 6, 2, race over. The virgin order is 1, 5, 6.
For Matthew's second race, he should have started second, but clearly didn't because of the mess at the start. But he finished third, which was a bit disappointing. However, it wasn't him taking a step back, it was more his rivals, the other drivers, making steps forward. If we add previous races' results in, his fastest lap is half a second faster, roughly. His best 10 average isn't far off a second faster. And he got 2 more laps in. So it was positive from that aspect. If we add the details in, you can see there is a fair amount of red again, but it's to be expected, really. Importantly, his average has gone down considerably. As in, it's faster. The lap time, his average lap time has gone down considerably. His average last time was 15.25, now it's 14.15, so that's 1.1 seconds faster. So progress made, it's just that other people have moved on. It's no easy, is it?
No, it's been good.
I don't mean that, I mean the racing. It's a pain in the hoop, man. I'm getting confused because of you. I've done it again. Unfortunately, we didn't get any footage on my second race, but it went well. It went better than the first one. As you can see here, I finished second, started third, and it was all better. I did 2 more laps than previously, 30 rather than 28. My fastest lap was 9.89, as opposed to 10.14 from before. My top 10 fastest laps were 10.08, as opposed to 10.30. In fact, my top 10 average was better than my fastest lap from the previous race. So I'm pretty pleased with that overall. And if we bring up the details, you can see only 2 red laps. And in fact, one of them, 10.90, wouldn't have classed as a red lap in the first race. And my average was 10.30. So my average lap over the whole race was equal to my top 10 fastest in the first race. So no, it was a much, much better race, much better consistency. And yeah, pretty pleased with that one. We never managed to get any footage of Matthew's third race. But he managed to get second place again, and he managed to do 1 extra lap than last time. His best lap was exactly the same, but he managed to trim his best top 10 average down again, and he was beginning to get a little bit into it, but although he was still very, very nervous, sort of standing there all pent up, he just needed to relax some, but I get that, that's what I was like on my first time as well. Bringing up the details, you can see there's still a fair few red ones, but I'm not sure if there was as much as last time, to be honest. His average lap time across the whole race improved massively, down from 14.15 to 13.18, so almost a second drop there. Yeah, it was looking quite good. We did manage to get some footage of my third race, but it was an absolute disaster. Easily my worst race of the night. I modified the car for this round to try and make it more aggressive, to get a little bit more turn-in, but it was awful. It was all over the place. I don't think it was because of the changes. At least I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I think I maybe slightly got distracted again helping Matthew and screwed up my tyre prep. So a combination of the two things. It was more aggressive and I don't think the tyre prep was correct. I just found that I couldn't drive the damn thing. Take off like a shot and then I immediately crashed there. I crashed there. There's no little mistake. Then it just went from bad to worse. And then it went from worse to worser. yeah, that kind of sums up my entire race. The body shell, you can't really see it on camera, was all tucked in on one side at the back, so my spoiler was, it was like a stock car, an oval racing stock car. The spoiler was down at one side, tucked in at one side, so it was, you know, trying to pull the car in one direction. It was just a mess. Eventually I had to stop to get someone to tuck the shell back in. Needless to say, I'm pretty sure I came last. Yes, last place and only 27 laps. My fastest lap was competitive, but my top 10 wasn't. Compared to my previous race, my fastest lap was faster, my top 10 fastest laps were faster, and yet I did 3 less laps, so that tells you everything you need to know about my consistency in this race. It was horrific. If we bring up the details, my average lap was 11.20 seconds, which is 9/10 of a second slower than my previous race. So yes, really not good. You can ignore the 25.5 second lap. That's the one where I stopped and got the spoiler sorted. But yeah, there's a 17 in there, there's a 12 in there, there's a few 11s in there. Not the greatest race in the world. I went into that race second overall on the timesheets, and came out of it 5th overall, which meant rather than starting second in the A final, I was due to start 5th, with some work to do. With the qualifying heats completed, Matthew finished 19th out of 22 and qualified first in the D final. Unfortunately, right at the start of Matthew's race, straight away I could tell that something wasn't right. The car was not turning in and seemed to push wide on every corner. It wasn't until after the race that we saw what was the cause of it. Not the best start. What's happened to it? It was like it's sitting awfully low, like the tyres have worn it. I think he's run out of front tyres. I think it's worn down completely. Looks like the front is scrubbing the ground.
Front's ruined.
Yes. Started first, came third. Matthew, you went backwards against a bunch of kids. How do you feel?
I didn't go backwards.
Because you started first and came third. Yeah. I think you desperately need new tyres because your front's rubbing it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You would have had no steering in half the corners there.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, that's what it was. It's so low that that's the carpet. That will clean off. You need some new tyres. Yeah. That's a bit loose. That wouldn't have helped. That's a bit completely rubby. That wouldn't. Look at me, look at that. I could probably write my name in it. Scratch, scratch. Yeah, that's kind of mean. You need new tyres, and that needs tightened. I don't know who built the car, but for goodness sake. I'll get him a GT12 car for his birthday / Christmas.
Right, I should probably take the transponder off and get it clean because it's bogging.
Ah, go for it. And so it turned out that 2 of the 4 screws that hold the front end on from below had come loose. So the whole front end was flapping loose. Whenever you put the car down on the ground, the wheels would basically lift off the ground, and the steering and the camber strap, the whole lot would lift up, causing the chassis itself to touch down and scrape along the ground, resulting in the, well, understeer. So that was a shame. His final was a bit of a write-off. Nevertheless, we'll have a look at the results here. So started first, finished third. Quite disappointing. Yes, 1 less lap than he did in the previous race, although his fastest lap was better fractionally, but I think that's more a reflection of him getting better rather than the car, because the car was definitely worse. And you can see that in the top 10 fastest laps, it was considerably slower than it was in the previous race. Relatively few red laps though. Obviously there's 3 at the end in quite quick succession, but the car was getting worse by the end because those screws were getting looser. So I can hardly hold that against him. His average was down considerably. 13.67 is a lot slower than his previous average of 13.18 across the entire race. So yeah, it was a lot slower, but that was because of the car. But it proves that his consistency is better despite the car is less red. So yeah, I think it's positive. It's just a shame he had the issues that he had. And now we get to the A final where I started 5th. Matthew got a few good shots here, so despite the flickering lights, I'll put a little bit of a montage with some music. So yeah, enjoy that for the next few moments. Started 5th, and despite making a few mistakes and getting taken out as you saw, I managed to finish 4th. I think I had 3rd at one point, but dropped after a mistake, I'm pretty sure anyway. But not too bad at the end. Best lap was almost competitive, but not quite, and the best 10 was there or thereabouts. If we compare to race 2 as my best race, you can see that my fastest lap is basically the same, but my top 10 fastest laps were better overall, but I did one less lap. Compared to the disastrous race 3, my fastest lap was quite a lot slower, but my top 10 fastest lap average was better because there was less mistakes. I'm not sure what that says exactly, but it says something. Average lap time across the entire race was 10.4 seconds, comparing to my race 2 10.3, so only a tenth off it. Overall, I'd say that the final was my second quickest race of the night, despite the relatively slow fastest lap, especially compared to the fastest lap in race 3, the disastrous race 3. Plenty of reds, as you can see. Not brilliant, although at least one of those was from getting taken out. Reflecting on the night as a whole, I had the pace for 3rd in the A quite comfortably, and possibly 2nd, but it was not to be. 4th isn't too bad, especially since my spoiler came off. Yeah, not fully, but the damage caused by the roll in the previous race had caused it to come loose. When I picked it up at the end of the final, it fell off. The bolt came out completely, so it just hung on long enough to survive, but it wouldn't have done any more laps, that's for sure. That would have been flapping around and not helping the lap time. Did you have fun, Matthew?
I did have fun, that was good.
Yeah, you got beaten by some kids. Beaten by some kids.
Hey, there was an old guy in my race.
There was, but you got beaten by some kids. It was good though. It was
There's a
fun.
few crashes there I caught on camera for you.
Yeah, you're lucky I wasn't rolling on your race the whole time.